to offer. First item on the agenda is the approval of the September 25th meeting minutes. I'd entertain a motion in a second. My machine's not working. Been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion, corrections? If not, can we please vote? Here. There we go. All right.
Chair Poppin, I'm an affirmative for that.
Your motion has been approved. The second item is a resolution authorizing a one-time cost of living bonus for the retirees and beneficiaries of the MARTA non-represented pension plan that'll be led by LaShondra Dawkins, Chief Admin Officer. LaShondra?
Good morning, Chair Pond, Vice Chair Frierson, Mr. Hunt, and Ms. Allen, and other members of the board. I'm before you this morning in my capacity as the chair of the Non-Represented Pension Committee, seeking your approval and recommendation to the full board of directors to approve a resolution to authorize a one-time cost of living bonus for the retirees and beneficiaries of the MARTA Non-Represented Pension Plan to be paid in January of 2026. To be eligible for the cost of living bonus, the participant must have been in payment status as of January 1st, 2025. Am I doing the clicker this morning? Okay. The Management Pension Committee recommends that the retirees of the MARTA non-represented pension plan receive a one-time lump sum equivalent to a monthly check with a minimum benefit payment of $1,200. There are approximately 1,459 impacted individuals in the eligible retirees and beneficiaries group. Additionally, the minimum benefit of $1,200 represents 4.85% of the average annual benefit for the retirees, which at this point is $24,706. The plan's actuary has determined that this action will have an approximate one-time cost of $3,113,561 to the pension plan. As you may know, MARTA maintains a defined benefit plan covering its non-represented employees, which was originally adopted January 1st, 1958. It is now a completely closed plan. It was originally closed to all newly hired non-represented employees in 2005, excluding our police. As of January 1st, 2008, retirees, beneficiaries, and drop participants were entitled to receive an automatic 1% annual cost of living increase. Subsequently, the plan closed to our newly hired police effective January 1st, 2015. To reduce the unfunded liability of the plan, thereby producing cost savings to the authority, the MARTA Board of Directors passed a resolution in February of 2017 upon the recommendation of the Non-Represented Pension Committee, eliminating the automatic 1% annual cost of living increase for the retirees, beneficiaries, and drop participants. In accordance with this foregoing action, the Pension Committee committed to annually review and consider the adequacy of retirees' pension benefits under the plan with respect to a cost of living adjustment and MARTA's financial condition and ability to fund a cost of living adjustment. The terms of this commitment were memorialized in the cost of living adjustment policy. This policy was implemented to establish the procedures and guidelines for such review by the Pension Committee. The effective date of this COLA policy was October 12, 2017. Finally, as of January 1st, 2018, the plan was restated through plan amendments and has completely closed in that represented employees hired prior to 2005 transferring into a non-represented position do not have the option to participate in the defined benefit plan at this time. They are covered under the defined contribution plan. Since the elimination of the automatic 1% COLA, the retirees have received cost of living adjustments in January of 2019, January 2022, 23, and 24, respectively. The adjustment is paid based on the plan's performance for the previous calendar year. Hence, today's recommendation is based on the plan's performance as of December 31st, 2024. In accordance with the COLA policy, the Pension Committee, with the guidance of our plan actuaries, reviewed the rate of return for the plan year ended December 31st, 2024, the funded position of the pension plan, and the consumer price index data for the most recent preceding 12-month period. The respective rate of return was 10.4% as compared to the actuarial assumption of 5.5%. The funded position of the plan as of December 31st, 2024 was 87.92%, approximately 5% from last year, up from last year. The CPI data reviewed was averaging around 2.4%. So after careful consideration the respective information, the Pension Committee has determined that the plan enjoyed a favorable year in 2024, which may justify approving a cost of living bonus for the eligible retirees and beneficiaries. During the committee's deliberation, the committee was motivated to ensure that those retirees who have the lowest monthly benefit receive appropriate consideration in our COLA recommendation. And that is why we have approved the minimum benefit approach, because we believe that will accomplish the intended result. Therefore, the Management Pension Committee recommends that the retirees and beneficiaries of the MARTA non-represented pension plan receive a one-time lump sum bonus equivalent to an additional monthly check with a minimum benefit of $1,200 to be paid in a separate check in January of 2026. The Management Pension Committee is authorized to recommend cost of living adjustment increases for retirees to the MARTA Board of Directors for your consideration. The board, in its sole discretion, will determine whether pension benefits will be increased for a cost of living bonus. And so I conclude by respectfully requesting this committee's recommendation of this resolution to authorize a one-time lump sum bonus equivalent to an additional monthly check with a minimum benefit of $1,200 to the full board. Thank you, Mr. Pond. This
Thank you,
concludes
Ms.
my report.
Dawkins. Entertain a motion and a second. It's been moved and properly seconded. Any questions from Ms. Dawkins? I see none. Mr. Zagati.
Sorry, just one question on this 1% bonus. So just to confirm, this is a 1% bonus that's put in place that happens every year. We call it a cost of living adjustment, but it doesn't compound annually, right?
That is correct. They do not receive a true COLA. We eliminated that one-time percent, and so in these more recent years, we've been looking at the plan overall, what we can afford, and making recommendations based on that. So what we're proposing is they will receive whatever their monthly check is, but if they don't receive at least $1,200, they will get at least $1,200. But it does not compound, so it is a one-time bonus rather than a true COLA.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Bolton Harris, did you have something? Okay. I see no other questions. Can we please vote? The motion passes. The next item on the agenda is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract for specialized professional services for information security and a letter agreement, and that'll be led by Lawrence Williams, Assistant GM for Information Security. Lawrence?
Yes, sir. Good morning. Good morning, Chairman Pond, Mr. Hunt, Ms. Allen, and other members of the board. I am Lawrence Williams, the Chief of Information Security here at MARTA, and I am here today to present for your consideration a resolution authorizing the award of a contract for specialized professional services for Information Security Letter of Agreement L50771. The Department of Information Security has identified a critical need to strengthen MARTA's cybersecurity program through a specialized professional services. This initiative directly supports the protection of MARTA's enterprise and operational technology environments amid increasing cyber threats. These professional services are essential to advancing MARTA's cybersecurity initiatives, maintaining compliance with federal and state cybersecurity requirements, including the upcoming new TSA requirement for FY28, and enhancing our incident response capabilities, particularly as we prepare for major regional and global events. This contract provides critical staffing and technical expertise to supplement existing internal resources. MARTA can meet operational demands and regulatory expectations under NIST, TSA, and CISA guidelines. This effort strengthens our audit readiness, risk management, and enterprise security posture while ensuring the continuity of operations and alignment with MARTA's core mission, delivering safe, reliable, and secure transit service to the Atlanta region. In summary, this resolution enables MARTA to maintain a proactive and resilient cybersecurity framework, positioning the authority to protect passengers, assets, and critical infrastructure from evolving cyber threats. The Contracts and Procurement Department requested proposal for firms on the 2nd of September. 3 firms responded by the suspense of 29 September. This is a firm fixed unit price contract for a term of 1 year with no option years. It is fully funded by operational funds in the amount of $1,841,280. The authority's staff determined that Gantech Corporation, Charter Global, and Numbers Only Incorporated submitted the most advantageous proposals. The Department of Information Security requests the Business Management Committee recommend the approval of resolution authorizing the award of contracts for a specialized professional service for Information Security Letter of Agreement L50771 in the amount of $1,841,280 to Gantech Corporation, Charter Global, and Numbers Only. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Could we have a motion and a second? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any questions from Mr. Williams? I see none. Can we please vote?
Chair Pond. I'm sorry, right here. Can you record me as a yes because I'm still not up yet?
I can't either, so you're in good company.
Okay.
Can we let the record?
I voted yes. I keep voting yes.
Can we let the record reflect everybody voted yes? Or do we need to wait? Okay. Okay, the motion passes.
All right. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is a resolution authorizing the award of a single source contract for mobile application payment gateway and token management services, and that'll be led by Roy Dale Stewart, Senior Director of Treasury Services. Roy Dale?
Yes, thank you. Okay. Good morning, Chair Pond, Vice Chair Frierson, Mr. Hunt, Ms. Allen, and other members of the Business Management Committee. My name is Roydell Stewart. I'm the Senior Director of Treasury Services, and I'm here to request the Business Management Committee approve a 4-year single-source contract for payment gateway services in the amount of $685,792. So as part of MARTA's Better Breeze project, we're working with the firm Init to bring our payment systems up to date across all of our channels. Today, I'm focusing on mobile app and website ticket sales in the Init environment. So to enable seamless transactions through these platforms, MARTA needs a payment gateway that's secure, efficient, and compliant. Init has recommended CyberSource for this role because it meets MARTA's needs and is compatible within the Init environment. And just for added context, a payment gateway is a software service that helps transfer data between the merchant's point of sale and the customer's card issuing bank. So now if we look at the benefits of CyberSource, this payment gateway offers direct integration within the new Init payment system, which is a significant advantage as it reduces both development costs and implementation time. From a security standpoint, the gateway is PCI DSS certified, ensuring that all transaction processing meets industry security standards and compliance requirements. In addition, the platform has demonstrated strong reliability and has a proven track record of high uptime and fast transaction processing speeds. All of this is crucial for maintaining smooth business operations. Now, considering the costs, there are two cost components. CyberSource charges a fee per transaction processed and a fee per card stored. And usually there's one card stored per customer. Both fees follow a tiered volume-based pricing structure, and the contract size of $685,792 reflects historical usage and the projected demand for the sales channel under Better Breeze. It's also worth noting MARTA's Department of Internal Audit performed a cost analysis and determined this pricing to be fair and reasonable. So with that, the Department of Chief Financial Officer requests the Business Management Committee recommend to the full board the approval of a 4-year single-source contract with CyberSource for payment gateway services in the amount of $685,792. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Could we have a motion and a second? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any questions for Mr. Stewart?
I go.
Ms. Galencia?
Yeah, I was just curious, is this the prior company, CyberSource, that you've been using? And this is just a renewal of the contract, or is this a brand new provider?
This is the new provider.
And who was the old provider?
So it's Fiserv. So it's, I believe it's PayEasy, which is a Fiserv product.
Got it. And we just weren't happy with them?
No. So in the new Init environment, CyberSource is compatible with it. And so in order to get the Better Breeze up and running quickly, this service provider is easier for implementation.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Ms. Galencia. I hope to get it correct next time. Ms. Bolton Harris?
Yes, thank you. Just out of curiosity, I know, so just so I can, for clarification, was this something that was already budgeted and you're just coming out and asking for it? I don't remember this a part of the presentation of the new upgrade for the payment system. And what I'm asking is that it's just, it may be, I guess it's the, we're coming in asking for this amount. I thought it was already a part of another line item in the budget, so am I making sense?
If I may, good morning, everyone. So this is already a service that we have already. It's inside of the finance department. So we're basically switching vendors, but it is budgeted as part of a finance, not as part of the project cost.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Zagabi?
Thank you. Just one question. How does these, like, because this is all based on transactional, they take a percentage. How do the rates compare to what we currently have?
So the rates are going to be more expensive. So currently we're paying about 3 cents a transaction. This would be about 5 cents a transaction. Now we are expecting the transaction volumes to go down significantly because in the Better Breeze environment, most people who have the ability to pay with a card are probably going to tap at the gate instead of prepaying and loading tickets onto an account.
Yeah.
And so that's what this would be for. So when you have fewer transactions, you end up paying more.
Okay. And then I guess if we were to go with the other vendor or somebody else that we had, we would be paying probably hundreds of thousands of dollars in integration fees to develop the integration into this platform.
The integration would be very expensive. I don't have that number, but in looking at everything, it was determined that this was the most cost effective.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Can we please vote? Technical difficulties here. Okay, the motion passes with 6 yeses and 5 abstentions. Jack?
Would you raise your hands for me, please, so I can see how you vote?
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
The next item is a resolution authorizing a modification and contractual authorization of professional services for B2G Now software maintenance and support services, and that'll be led by Tyson Morris again. Tyson.
Good morning, Chairman Pond, Vice Chair Frierson, Mr. Hunt, Ms. Allen, and other members of the board. My name is Tyson Morris. I'm the AGM of Technology, and today I'm here to present the resolution authorizing a modification and contractual authorization for professional services for B2G Now software maintenance and support LOA L45246. The Office of Corporate Compliance and Engagement relies on B2G Now to manage MARTA's supplier diversity and compliance programs. This includes tracking certifications, contracts, training, complaints, and ensuring compliance with key federal regulations such as the DBE and SPEA programs. After extensive research, B2G Now was selected as the only vendor offering a comprehensive suite of modules that meet all of MARTA's needs, eliminating the need for multiple, more costly systems. The purpose of this resolution is to extend the maintenance and support services for B2G Now for an additional 2 years to ensure continued support for MARTA's supplier diversity and compliance systems. The system includes upgrades, enhancements, configuration updates, and annual system reviews to ensure continued performance and compliance. We are seeking a 2-year contract extension, and this extension will be fully funded with operational funds from the approved FY26 budget. The current contract value is $459,537. We are requesting an additional $203,222.45, bringing the total contract value to $662,759.45. Internal audit review was performed, and pricing was found to be fair and reasonable. In summary, the Department of Technology kindly requests the Business Management Committee recommend the approval of the resolution authorizing a modification in contractual authorization for professional services for B2G Now, software maintenance and support, LOA L45246, which will increase the maximum contract value to $662,759.45. Thank you. Now I return the floor to you.
Thank you, Tyson. Can we have a motion and a second? Properly, any questions, Mr. Morris? I see none. Can we please vote? The motion passes. The next item on the agenda is a resolution authorizing a modification in contractual authorization for maintenance and support for the Oracle Database ERP and ID management licenses, and that'll be led by Mr. Morris again.
Thank you once again. My name is Tyson Morris, and I'm presenting to the board a resolution authorizing a modification in contractual authorization for maintenance and support for HCM and ERP subscription licenses P27978. Excuse me. Oracle serves as MARTA's systems of record for our financial, human resources, and supply chain operations. The purpose of this resolution is twofold: to renew our Oracle ERP and HCM subscription licenses, and to extend both licenses for 3 years so that they expire together in October of 2029. This ensures continuity in hosting, maintenance, and integrations. This includes software upgrades, security patches, and additional test and development environments. These services are critical to maintaining the integrity and performance of our enterprise systems. This is a 3-year contract renewal, fully funded with capital funds from the approved FY26 budget. The current contract value stands at approximately $36,868,805.09, and we are requesting additional $5,836,938.67. This brings the total contract value to just over $42,705,743.76. An internal audit was reviewed and performed, and pricing was found to be fair and reasonable. In summary, the Department of Technology requests the Business Management Committee recommend approval of the resolution authorizing a modification contractual authorization for maintenance and support for HCM and ERP subscription licenses P27978 with Oracle America Incorporated to increase the maximum contract value to $42,705,743.76. Thank you. Now I return the floor back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. Could we have a motion and a second? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any questions for Mr. Morris? Can we please vote? Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is a resolution authorizing the award of a single-source contract for maintenance and support services for MARTA's Communications Service Manager, and that'll be led again by Tyson Morris, Assistant GM for Technology.
Thank
Tyson.
you. It's again, last one for me. I'm here to present the board a resolution authorizing the award of a single-source contract for maintenance and support services for MARTA Communications Services Manager, RFP P50749. TIBCO is the backbone of our integration and orchestration environment. It connects applications, data, and services across MARTA's ecosystem. Our current infrastructure relies on the TIBCO FTL and BusinessWorks modules to support 20 APIs that are deeply embedded in our operations, touching everything from bus and rail systems to station signage, the MARTA On The Go app, DrugPack, Everbridge, and our public website, itsmarta.com. We are requesting a 3-year procurement of maintenance and support services to facilitate our migration to the TIBCO cloud platform. This move will allow us to enhance redundancy, stabilize our API feeds, and reduce the risk of data loss, especially for our customer-facing systems like station signage and mobile apps. This will ensure we maintain and enhance the critical integration infrastructure that supports MARTA's operations and customer-facing services. The total cost of this 3-year procurement is $324,544.50. This is a single source procurement with Cloud Software Group Incorporated, and it's fully funded with capital funds from the approved FY26 budget. Internal audit review was performed and pricing was found to be fair and reasonable. Once again, in conclusion, the Department of Technology requests the Business Management Committee recommend the approval of the resolution authorizing the award of a single source contract for maintenance and support services for MARTA Communications Service Manager RFP P50749 with Cloud Software Group Incorporated for the amount of $324,544.50. Thank you. Return the floor to you.
Thank you, Tyson. Entertain a motion and a second. It's been moved and properly seconded. Any questions for Mr. Morris? Seeing none, can we please vote? Same old, same old. I can't vote again. The motion passes. The last resolution is a resolution authorizing the temporary suspension of the alcohol advertising ban, and that's led by Shanette Kaneda.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, Chair Pond, Vice Chair Frierson, Mr. Hunt, Ms. Allen, and other members of the board. My name is Chinette Kaneda, and I'm the Senior Director of Marketing and Sales. Today, I am presenting a resolution authorizing the temporary allowance of alcohol advertising during major events hosted in Atlanta. So this proposal would create a short-term revenue opportunity of approximately $75,000 to $150,000 during key global events, specifically May through August 2026 for the World Cup and January through March 2028 for the Super Bowl. So as a reminder, MARTA's current policy prohibits alcohol advertising. This proposal recommends a temporary event-specific suspension limited exclusively to these globally recognized high-profile events. This approach aligns with industry norms as alcohol brands are consistently among the top advertisers during major sporting events worldwide, including FIFA, the Olympics, the NFL, and the NBA, excuse me. For example, FIFA's 2 alcohol sponsors, Diageo and Michelob Ultra, and other alcohol brands will be targeted and added to our target advertising list. And allowing MARTA to participate in this space would position the authority alongside other global advertising platforms at a time when Atlanta is on the world stage. So for context, the last time MARTA collected alcohol advertising revenue was in 2022. So since 2023, that revenue stream has been completely paused due to the ban. And based on previous year's alcohol ad sales, we know that we could have generated $75,000 to $150,000 during that time period. Now, with the World Cup and Super Bowl coming to Atlanta, reinstating alcohol advertising temporarily could generate that amount within just a few months. So strategically, this approach allows MARTA to capture global advertising demand tied directly to the World Cup, generate new funding to support operations and customer programs without creating a long-term policy shift, align with FIFA's global sponsors and industry leaders who are already heavily invested in MARTA's World Cup marketing ecosystem. So this is not about reinstating or reversing our policy. It's about responsibly capitalizing on a one-time, high-value opportunity that positions MARTA as an active participant in the city's broader World Cup engagement strategy. Now, so when considering the proposal, there are a few key factors to weigh. On the positive side, the initiative could generate between $75,000 to $150,000 in short-term revenue. It would align MARTA with FIFA's global sponsor advertising activity and create consistency across our major city assets. It provides an immediate, flexible way to offset some of the costs associated with operations and programs during a very busy event period. Now, on the cautionary side, it may cause some concern among stakeholders who supported the advertising ban and advertisers seeking year-round opportunities. So we'll also need oversight to ensure advertising content and placement fully comply with the timeline and MARTA's brand and community standards, which we already do for all of our verticals. So in closing, the Office of Marketing requests approval of the resolution authorizing the temporary allowance of alcohol advertising during major events hosted in Atlanta. This approach ensures MARTA benefits from the global advertising momentum surrounding these events while maintaining control, transparency, and alignment with our values. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for the presentation, but of course, me being starting this past February, can you give me just a quick history on why there's a ban on alcohol ads on MARTA? Like, where did this come from?
Yeah, that was a decision that was made by previous leadership, but we did see there are a lot of transit authorities across the country have gone in that direction. Some of them remove alcohol or remove advertising altogether, but we do believe we can bring it back in a responsible way. And the reason I think folks were speaking to that were public health concerns or safety concerns or the perception of that, and so that's why the decision was made.
Okay.
Ms. Jones?
So the resolution says, good morning, sorry.
Good morning.
The resolution says May and August in 2026 and January and March in 28.
Through, yes.
So should it be through?
Through, yes,
The
yes.
resolution says and.
Yes, we
Okay.
will update that.
Thank you.
I have one question. It's more for legal counsel, and I've got no problem with the resolution, but would this open the door for other vendors? Because I know there are certain vendors that we did not want to encourage to advertise on the system. So would this be a concern? Dwayne says no, so it's no. All right. I see no other questions. Can we please vote?
Mr. Pond, do you want when you do a friendly amendment to the resolution as noted by Member Jones? Because it does say and, so instead of saying May and August and January and March, it should be an amendment to say May through August and January through March, would be my suggestion.
Would you make that?
Yes. Amendment made.
We'll do a hand vote, but go ahead, Ms. Jones.
I request an amendment. I move that we haven't moved to amend the resolution authorizing the temporary allowance of alcohol advertising during major events hosted in Atlanta to read May through August in 2026 and January through March in 2028.
We have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the amendment. Can we vote by hand? I see. All approved? Motion passes. That is the last resolution. Are there any other matters before this committee? Not, the meeting's adjourned.
Call to order this October 23rd, 2025 Planning and Capital Programming Committee meeting here at MARTA. So with that, I'll head to the first agenda item. That is the approval of the September 25th, 2025 Planning and Capital Programs Committee meeting minutes. Do I have a motion? And a second? Any discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Resolution passes. All right, agenda item 2, resolution authorizing a modification and contractual authorization for authority-wide energy savings performance contract RFPP 37274-A. Mr. Richard Thomas, floor is yours.
Good morning, Chair Zagabe, Mr. Hunt, Ms. Allen, and members of the Planning and Capital Programs Committee. I'm Richard Thomas, Director of Strategic Efficiency. I am presenting the approval of the resolution authorizing a modification in contractual authorization for the authority-wide energy savings performance contract, contract number RFP P37274A with Schneider Electric Buildings Americas Incorporated. This modification formally incorporates the full 17-year Performance Assurance Support Services Agreement, increasing the contract value by $1,400,040 and securing $54 million in guaranteed savings for MARTA. This 17-year agreement is part of the original executed ESCO contract. Let's walk you through the background, financial performance, risk management, and benefits of this initiative, starting with how this program began and why it continues to deliver measurable results. The authority-wide energy savings performance contract, known as ESCO, was essential to modernizing MARTA's facilities and reducing utility costs. It allowed us to replace aging systems, improve comfort and safety and reliability for employees and customers. The performance contract is a turnkey program that included design, build, construction, monitoring, and maintenance of energy efficiency upgrades. And it came with a guarantee that the savings generated would fully offset the cost of the ESCO project through energy reduction, forming the foundation of the Performance Assurance Support Services, or PASS agreement. Following a competitive procurement in 2016, MARTA selected Schneider Electric to implement 4 major conservation projects, including LED lighting retrofits, building automation system upgrades, HVAC modernizations, and installation of electric submeters for real-time energy tracking. Construction ran from 2019 to 2023 and transitioned seamlessly into the guaranteed savings phase under the PASS agreement. The agreement spans 17 years and is projected to deliver $54 million in guaranteed savings. The board originally authorized $36.17 million for the ESCO contract, but did not include the $1.4 million for the PASS agreement component, now before you for approval. Now let's look into how the PASS agreement safeguards our savings and manages risk for the authority. The PASS agreement is a long-term performance assurance program and financial backbone of the ESCO contract that protects MARTA's $54 million in guaranteed savings, now in year 3 of the 17-year term. It ensures that Schneider Electric remains fiscally accountable and for performance through continuous measurement and verification, accountability, and technical support over time. Under the PASS agreement, MARTA receives continuous monitoring and verification of systems, on-site support and troubleshooting, staff training, and monthly data analysis. Savings are verified using the International Performance Measurement and Verification Protocol, or IPMVP, a national standard for transparency and accuracy. This agreement safeguards performance through staff transitions, system upgrades, and operational changes, giving MARTA 24/7 visibility through Snyder's Resource Advisor platform. Let's translate that performance into financial impact and accountability. This slide illustrates the financial performance of the ESCO program. The vertical axis shows the dollar amount. The horizontal shows dates. The black line represents guaranteed savings, and the green line represents actual verified savings achieved. Our performance has exceeded expectations with $7.7 million in verified savings, more than double the $3.5 million guaranteed for the same period. Each of the 17 years carries its own independent annual savings guarantee, approximately $2.3 million per year, ensuring transparency and accountability year over year. This success reinforces MARTA's commitment to financial discipline, operational efficiency, and measurable return on investments. Now, let's examine the risk and why approving this agreement protects MARTA's long-term return on investment. The PASS agreement is MARTA's insurance policy for $54 million in guaranteed savings. Without this modification to the agreement, MARTA would assume full financial liability for the underperformance or shortfall of the $54 million savings guarantee. We risk losing Snyder Electric's ongoing technical support, data verification, and continuous performance monitoring, which critically safeguards and protect MARTA against cost overruns. Without the PASS agreement, long-term risk grows as institutional knowledge could be lost through staff turnovers or system age, creating exposure to higher utility costs and reduced efficiency over time. Approving this modification keeps Snyder Electric financially accountable for performance, ensures training, monitoring, verification, and technical support, and our $54 million in guaranteed savings remain fully protected. In short, approval of the modification protects MARTA's financial and operational long-term interests. Non-approval transfers risk to MARTA. By approving this modification, the board affirms MARTA's commitment to measurable results, cost savings, long-term financial stewardship, and protecting $54 million in guaranteed savings, and ensuring MARTA's continued leadership in operational efficiency. Finally, here's what we're asking the committee to recommend. The Department of Customer Experience and Strategy requests the committee recommends to the full board the approval of the authorization to modify the authority-wide ESCO contract number RFP P37274-A with Snyder Electric, incorporating the full 17-year PASS agreement in the amount of $1,400,040. The additional $1.4 million will be fully funded through our local operating budget and brings the total contract value to $37,568,038. The contract is structured as a performance-based auto-renewal agreement that represents sound fiscal management, proven savings, and operational excellence. Thank you for your time and consideration.
All right, thank you for the presentation. Any questions? Mr. Pond.
This is a great program, and I totally support this. My question is on these ESCO contracts. In my history, the contractor, the vendor, puts up all the costs, bills of projects, and then he's paid out of the savings. In this case, what we're doing is we're financing the construction and then splitting the savings with the contractor, more or less. I may not be saying that exactly correct, but I'm curious of the financing of the construction of the project replacement itself.
So the financial structure, it was a 19-year lease structure for the construction. I mean, the $36 million was the total cost of the construction project.
Right.
The $54 million in guaranteed saving is the return on that investment. I'm not, I'm not sure if I'm answering all of your questions, though.
Yes, my question is, are we paying for the construction up front and then the contractor's being reimbursed based on the savings, or?
Okay.
That's basically the question.
So no, it was a 19-year contract as far as the financial component of it. Now, the savings, in essence, that's a larger bucket.
Yeah, let me help you out, Mr. Pond. That we're paying over time like a mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
The contractor to go in and find a variety of areas for us to capture those savings. There's a guarantee they gave us of savings to cover the cost of a variety of small projects. It wasn't one big
I understand
project.
that.
Yeah.
Okay. Question answered.
Okay, Ms. Galisa?
Yes.
Did I pronounce that correct?
Yes. Thank you. Great presentation. Just trying to understand the initial contract where we did the 36 million that had the 54 million guaranteed savings. Why do we need this extra monitoring software to almost re-guarantee it?
Well, in 2016, when the board approved the ESCO contract, the pass agreement was already part of the contract. However, we did not request funding for it. And that's what I'm here today to request funding for.
Got it. So it was initially part of the agreement. We just didn't approve the funding at that point.
That's correct.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
All right, Ms. Jones? Great. And I just had a couple. So just going back a couple pages, there's the slide where we show our savings, and it's a really great slide. It shows that we're tracking well ahead of the minimum payments, which is exactly what we hope to see. Do we know how this is done over the last year? Like this ends in May of 2024. Do we know what the last, say, 18 months has looked like? Have we continued to kind of out-track the minimum guarantee?
So, again, we're here to approve where we can pay Snyder Electric to continue to perform this service. So when you see May 2024, in essence, that's when work, in a sense, stopped. So this is the latest information I have, but once it's approved, we will have additional data.
So we actually have not gotten any minimum payments for them, and we actually don't know if we've been generating savings for the last year because we haven't had this in place.
Well, this is the slide that in a sense shows the savings. But what I'm saying is that Snyder Electric, just say from May to current, has not necessarily tracked the savings, but the agreement is still in place.
Okay.
Yes, the agreement is still in place, but they haven't provided us data because we haven't paid them, basically.
Right. So Mrs. Agabe, we are almost sure that we have saved. We just need to get the report, and they are still providing us with they're still tracking, but we need to actually extend the agreement beyond more than just the 1 or 2 years that came with the original contract, and then we'll have the report and we can come back on a yearly basis or annual basis or so to make sure that we're still tracking appropriately.
Perfect. Ms. Jones?
So we have to pay to get data reporting. Is that what I'm hearing?
That is correct. There is a service. There's software services and consulting services also that's part of this. But yes, in order for us to make sure and us to kind of have that agreement that we are actually saving and the utility costs are actually going down, we use this service to ensure that we're capturing all of that information.
Gotcha. And so do they do any sort of data reporting at all, or is it
Yes.
all encapsulated in this pass? this particular service?
It's all part of the past agreement. And again, the agreement is something that we had before. It was, I'll say, as one of the people who was around, this was an oversight in actually adding the cost of the agreement to the original contract. So we're just really trying to make ourselves whole in adding this to the original agreement. And actually, Snyder's been a great partner in continuing to work with us, even though we have for a year not made this agreement whole.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Ms. Bolton Harris?
Yeah, great presentation, but to kind of piggyback off the questions asked, like, I guess what's taken so long to reconcile this, that, you know, this is May 2024, and so now we are October, almost November 2025. I guess what was the lag time in trying to get to this point to correct the dollar amount to give to them so we can get the rest of the data?
I'll take that one too. It was more of the first year of the agreement was really covered under the construction part of the contract, and we had a switch or a transition from the construction side to the strategic efficiency department, and there was just a gap of us understanding that we had not covered this as part of the original agreement. And so this was just us doing all our due diligence, going back through the history of the contract and making sure that we had indeed not had this as part of the contract. And so this is just really us taking time and actually putting money in our budget, in our operating budget, to cover the cost.
Okay. And then the 54 million of savings is 54 divided by 17 years, and that's the...
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Perfect. And this last question is just maybe a bit more about what we're approving. At any point through this, can we terminate the agreement? The reason I ask is if this trend continues, like, we will exceed 54 million well before the 17-year period, and I would say, like, we should probably cancel we shouldn't pay for pass anymore. So we have the ability to cancel that?
Yes.
Great. Okay. That's all I have. If no further questions, please vote. Okay. The motion passes. Thank you. All right, next we'll head to agenda item 3, resolution authorizing the award of a contract for the procurement of Cleveland Avenue and Metropolitan Parkway RTO Rapid Transit ART construction, IFBB 50317-A. AJ, it's yours.
All right, good morning, Chair Zagabe, Mr. Hunt, Ms. Allen, and other members of the board. I am AJ Joshi. I'm presenting the resolution authorizing the award of a contract for Cleveland Avenue and Metropolitan Parkway RTO Rapid Transit construction. So just going to give a little bit of history on the project itself or some details. The project will implement 2 separate bus routes that span approximately 10 miles round trip each. We plan to install 53 new bus shelters that will have next bus arrival information at each stop. We're also going to install 2 kiosks, one at East Point and one at West End Station bus loops that will also provide real-time information for our patrons. So another feature we will enable is transit signal priority, which will allow the MARTA buses to move more efficiently through the corridor. And the last additional feature is in the installation of a cul-de-sac on the eastern end of Cleveland Avenue corridor, just past the New Life Tabernacle Church. So one of the things that came about through the procurement of this job is we collaborated with the City of Atlanta, and we found that if we collaborated with the city, we were able to kind of augment the scope to make it a little bit more attractive to bidders here in the city. So the city rolled in some scope for this project, and so we're going to be doing a road diet along Ralph David Abernathy. What that means is that we're actually going to be installing a bike path or a protected bike lane and doing a road diet in that segment. I believe that's between Murphy and Candler. We're also going to be installing Safe Streets amenities, which is essentially ADA ramps, curb sections, driveways, and other pedestrian improvements. That's going to be along Cleveland Avenue. We're also doing sidewalk improvements along the entire corridor, specifically Cleveland Avenue. And then we're also going to be doing sidewalk installation and improvements along Metropolitan Parkway between Cleveland Avenue and Mount Zion Road. So let's talk a little bit about just scope, schedule, budget. Essentially, we are going to be doing 655 working days from site notice to proceed, which we hope to achieve in January of 2026. Substantial completion would be July 2028 for revenue service in August of 2028. Total project budget right now, that includes construction value, is $45.8 million and a DBE goal of 25%. And just to kind of give a little bit of history on how we got here. So through the procurement process, we actually did go out for bid. This was in May 15th of 2025. And then bids were received in September of 17th of 2025. We received one bid at that time, and that one bid was not deemed responsive and responsible. So that's when we kind of put our heads together, worked with the city, and came up with this new plan to go ahead and augment the scope. So we added that scope that we had just talked about here a second ago, and what that garnered was 4 responsible bids, which was great. So we had some competition. We had folks that actually put in numbers, and now we did award. This is an IFB, so this is going to be lowest bid. We did award to a firm, BRTU Construction, Inc., for the amount of $19,964,685. Due to the nature of the work, being that we are going to be in a lot of right-of-ways, we did add a contingency of 10% just to cover our risk. And so the total not to exceed amount is $21,961,153. So with that, I would request for the board to approve the resolution authorizing the award of a contract for the procurement of Cleveland Avenue and Metropolitan Parkway Arterial Rapid Transit, ART construction, IFB 50317-A to BRTU Construction, Inc.
All right, thank you very much. I see we have a motion and a second on the resolution. Any questions? All right, Ms. Pollard.
Thank you. I'm really excited to see us moving forward on this. Does the cost that you're showing include the city scope that has been added, or is that being covered by MARTA?
No, it's all covered under this total. So those are going to be allowances that we have sort of baked into that overall contract cost. So this contractor will be doing the work for all aspects.
So if I could jump in.
Yeah.
The board has to award the total amount.
Yeah.
Sure.
The city, for the additional scope, the road diet, and some of the other things Mr. Joshi highlighted, the city is compensating MARTA for that.
That makes sense. So I guess I was seeing under financial consideration, it also says the city of East Point is giving money. So where is that?
It's work. Yeah, the city of East Point is also we are doing improvements in the city of East Point. We are not being compensated for that. That is going to be true transit work. So it's transit-centric work for all of East Point.
Okay.
But that comes out of local funds. So local funds for East Point, transit-centric work, no sidewalk improvements there. City work is going to be part of the city scope. That is going to be reimbursed by the city. And then more MARTA for the transit portion of the city work. Does that make sense?
Yes. What is the breakdown, and I may have just missed it, I'm sorry, on that city contribution versus more MARTA contribution?
What's the city allowance number?
What is the city allowance number? I don't have that in front of me. I'll have to pull that. I can bring that.
Okay. And I guess maybe it's a broader question. I appreciate this partnership and innovative way to let the project. That's great to get to bids. I know it's a really challenging environment for construction bidding. I guess I'm trying to sort of like conceptualize, because a lot of the stuff that the city's putting in, right, is incredibly supportive of transit and necessary to make the routes succeed. So I guess I'm trying to conceptualize where traditionally the line is drawn between what we would spend transit funds
Can I try to
on
take this?
and what we would spend city funds.
Yeah, so I'll try to take this one and some of this
Okay.
discussion, because we've talked about it. I think this is a project that went to let with a scope of work that did not see the level of responsiveness that we wanted to see.
Yeah.
So other projects that were already planned from the city of Atlanta were added to the scope to
Yeah,
make
yeah,
it a
yeah.
bigger package and make it more attractive. So I think
I got that.
the idea here being, like, we would have let this without that scope.
Yes.
So it's very clear that that is additional scope that is city-related, that is not
Okay.
specific to transit, though it is very transit supportive and is going to make a better rider experience for sure.
Okay, so when we look at future projects, we would probably intend to maintain the same sort of delineation and what type of service is provided.
Ideally, future projects will get the bids in below our internal estimates and already be swinging hammers.
Sorry, I mean
But
before we
yeah.
go for bid, when we scope a project, right, from the outset. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but I'm gonna do a hypothetical. On the sidewalk improvements. Yes, when we do transit projects, often we improve sidewalks. Do we improve an entire sidewalk alignment? No.
Right, okay.
So this one would go beyond that, but as both of you said, it is transit supportive. So yes, we look for areas to partner where it's strategically aligned. This one happened to line up really well, and it was very, very positive result.
Great, okay. And then it looks like, I'm just confirming, GDOT is in kind supporting it through the TSP. That's awesome as well.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Jones?
Thank you for the presentation. Very excited to see this project. Residents have been waiting on this for a very long time, and we'll be happy to see movement happening on this. Just to kind of further that conversation about the benefits of combining this scope of this project scope. We've had issues before in other projects where we didn't get enough bids. Is this something that we can consider moving forward? I know Ms. Pollack just asked that, but I'm really wondering, is there a way where possible that this could be a future consideration in order to make projects more attractive to bidders?
It certainly is. I know that our planners work with all of our jurisdictional partners in the cities within each jurisdiction, other than obviously the city of Atlanta. So we can combine scopes, but if they don't have their capital ready, and so there's a few factors, but yes, we do partner with them very closely and would absolutely be happy to expand our scopes and have bigger and better projects. Making AJ's day.
By the way, this just in.
Yeah.
Perfect. Ms. Bolton Harris?
Hey, thank you. Just in clarification, because I think you said something I wanted to make sure I understood. So the portion in East Point, you were saying that no sidewalk improvements, but off of Cleveland Avenue, or?
So there is going to be improvements in Cleveland Avenue that are part of the I guess, City of Atlanta's program. So they're going to be doing their program now. We don't have that same sort of coordination with the City of East Point. We do around our stations, but to a limited limited amount. So it's not going to be a full section.
Okay, and it's just, did you all connect with East Point to talk about potentially the extension of it, or was that?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I think we've been in concert, working with them in concert throughout this, and their alignment. We do have procurement is being funded with 72.5% more MARTA ATL funds, 27.5 City of East Point funds.
Okay.
So I just got that from my procurement team. So
Okay.
there is some coordination there as well.
Thank you.
And we've been coordinating with both jurisdictions for, don't kill me, real estate somewhere in the neighborhood of a year, because we've already been doing right-of-way acquisitions and whatnot. So we've been in very, very close contact with East Point.
Yeah.
All right. Joy, being the chairs, you get to also make comments. So let me just say, I'm very curious to see how this project goes. And I'd love to kind of hear, I think we've upped the complexity by working with other jurisdictions. However, how we talk about the relationships with jurisdictions in the media aside, this is actually like a really strong point of showing that we have a great working relationship on these projects. And we're actually going to, at work, we sometimes say, make 1 + 1 = 7. Like, this is when you take 1 + 1 and make it equal more than 2. When you coordinate, when we end up doing more improvements to hit more people as we bring in transit and all of it. So I just want to say, I really like this. My hope is that this is a very smooth delivery and that we're able to coordinate, but I also think it's really important in the vein of partnership, like this is true partnership, to do more when we touch the streets. So thank you.
Great. Thank you.
All right. If no more comments, please vote. I'm seeing Ms. Pollock and Ms. Scott. I don't see votes on my machine, but that might just be me. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, look, we're doing better than AWS was doing a little bit ago, so we're rolling. I like it. All right, I see that it passes. Thank you. Okay. All right, let's head to the next item we have here. Agenda item 4, resolution authorizing the award of a contract for final design services for the Campbellton Rapid Transit Project AE 50620. AJ, yours again.
All right. Well, good morning again. I'm going to go ahead and start by giving us a little bit of background on procurement history, and excuse the X's on the slide, but basically what we started with was in September 26, 2025, we did come before the PCP solicitation to basically solicit for proposals, solicit proposals. And then in October 24th, we came before the board, and the board allowed us to move forward with qualification-based proposal, or qualification-based selection for proposals. And then on May the 5th, we pulled together a source evaluation committee, and we were able to review those 3 qualification statements for final design services. When that happened, we actually went through, and on May the 28th, we were scored those 3 qualification statements, and then on September 5th, we actually made a recommendation, which we pulled forward. So that's just kind of giving a little bit of background on the history of the procurement. Kind of touch upon the what they're tasked to do. So basically, this is for the design of 3 segments for the Campbellton Rapid BRT project. So segment number 1 is essentially for a flyover. It's going to take place from Barge Road Park and Ride. It's going to fly over I-285 and land on the Greenbrier Mall campus. And then that particular segment has been designed to 15%. This A&E firm will take it from 15% to 100%. Segment 2 is going to be a segment that's going to take us along the campus, Greenbrier Mall campus, over to a transit hub. Again, we've done 15% design. We're going to bring that up to 100%. And then the last segment is taking it from Greenbrier Mall Transit Hub, going all the way to Oakland City along Campbellton Road. That has been designed to 30%. We're going to be bringing that up to 100%. And so the A&E firm that was selected was WSP. WSP is going to be supported by Pond, Acura, Facet, SRF, Aulic Engineering, CDH, NITI, Platinum, VHB, and TCF. So with that, I'm going to request resolution authorizing award of a contract for procurement of final design services of Campbellton Rapid Project AE 50620.
All right. Do I have a motion and a second? Seeing we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Mr. Pond.
What is, AJ, what is the estimated construction value of this project?
Construction value is $237 million.
You know that $237 million, I'm curious, the flyover was probably what % of that? More or less, I'm not looking for.
More or less, no, I don't know if we have that estimate. Do we have that estimate readily available? I believe it's 35 mil, but yeah.
Good morning, Larry Prescott. It is 35 million was the breakout for that flyover.
For that part.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, I was right. Okay, good.
Ms. Jones?
So I brought this up the last meeting, but I like to bring it up again since it's for vote. The board received a letter from Dr. Floyd, who is the chair of the Neighborhood Planning Unit P, which is representative of the area where the part of the area where the flyover will happen. And just in summation, the letter states that they've expressed deep concerns regarding the proposed flyover, and that they are concerned that it was not part of the community engagement and input that shaped the original BRT plan. They're concerned about community disruption, threatens physical and visual divide along the corridor. They're concerned about financial priorities. They question the cost effectiveness of the flyover bridge and believe that the funds would be better suited to extend BRT services further west, potentially reaching County Line Road. They're concerned about trust. Limited notice or dialogue undermines community trust in the process. For these reasons, we respectfully request that the MARTA board direct its staff to remove the flyover component from the BRT design and return to the original service level approach. I just wanted to make sure that that was included in this dialogue. Thank you.
What group was that?
Neighborhood Planning Unit P. Neighborhood planning units consist of several neighborhoods, and they are responsible for providing feedback and advice on local zoning legislation, alcohol permits, licensing permits, et cetera, land use development.
Okay, Ms. Pollock?
I just wanted to clarify, I think Mr. Pond's question and the answer was 35 million construction cost estimate for the flyover?
Correct. Yep.
That's like from an OPCC? That seems so low relative to what we just saw for the ART.
Well, yeah, this is from the ART. What do you think?
No, I just mean like if thinking about cost, just generally what construction costs, like 35 million just seems like exceptionally low for a flyover.
Yeah.
Since the flyover's original conception came in, it was part of the original LRT, so there was already pre-work that was done for it. This construction cost, we've gone in and done value engineering to include a bi-directional single lane operation, so it's not an oversized bridge. It does take off, we're using, I want to say MSE walls, ramps and so forth out of the mall area. We're only passing the bridge over I-285, and then it lands immediately on the other side. So we reduced the size section, the type of structure, and we have a parallel pedestrian path that's included with that as well. So the cost is on mark for what it is. It's not a full-blown public facility with all the other amenities that goes with it.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Mr. Pond?
Related to the community involvement, this project has been in planning for 2 years. And we've had plenty of time. I know you have public hearings and all of that. So is this one of these things where, in all fairness, people don't really look at it till almost the last minute, and now they're concerned? Because I know you've been working on this for a couple of years.
We are at a transition phase, so that is still 15% design.
Yeah.
And so that 2 years has covered up to the many changes within 15%. And with this change transitioning to the 30% and final design, we'll have more opportunities to go out there. Relative to the MPU concern, we will be responding to that with a letter with the explanation. With the IG, the GM is part of that response.
Okay. Ms. Jones?
Yeah, just to give you some context, Al, no, this is not a last minute request. This flyover was not originally part of the original design. The individuals and groups that are requesting this are highly involved in the process. I attend these meetings on a regular basis, and the folks that attend these meetings have been attending these meetings for years. And so this is not new. These are not quote-unquote Johnny-come-latelys. These are very involved individuals that are highly concerned about their neighborhood and should be respected as such. Thank you.
Mr. Farson?
Yeah, I just want to add that I remember when we originally started this conversation, having these community meetings with the MPUs about Hamilton Road, and I know that they wanted some things elevated in that space, and we had conversations. They've been here and talked publicly about Hamilton Road, and so it seems like we've come to a point where they were in agreement of moving forward. This flyover piece was not originally part of that conversation that I was involved in, and so I'm not sure at what point it was added. But I think we do need to make sure that they have clarity on what this is and how it will impact their community. From a high level, I kind of thought that it was just going to be able to bridge one community over to another because you have the freeway right there. Okay, but if this is something that gives them some concern, I think we just need to make sure that they understand the impact of it so that they can be able to support it, or if not, speak against it. But I want to make sure that we do have that engagement piece. I think that's important.
Absolutely. So maybe just one final comment, and then we can go ahead and, Ms. Williamson, I'll let you go, and then I'll follow.
No, you go ahead.
All right, perfect. I was just going to say, my hope is here, as we go forward, we want all of our expansion projects to be as successful as possible. And I know we've run into a couple bumps of getting quite far into design and then having to rework things for a multitude of reasons and stakeholders. My one hope, or maybe what I would love to hear is, as we go to design, is this 15% to 100, or is it 15 to 30 to a bit more engagement before we head to 100? The big thing I want to make sure we're not going to do is get to 100% design and then need to go back to the drawing board in any way. So just any color on what the process looks like from 15 to 100.
Yes, definitely. This is a transition period, so going from the 15 to 30, transitioning consultants as well. So the planning consultant will stay on board for continuity of the prior public outreach as they transition to the new consultant. And so there will be a follow-up transition period as we develop that 15 to 30% final.
I'll say it clearly, the community engagement during this design process is not over. It's going to be
correct
continued.
All right. Ms. Williamson?
So with the community engagement still happening, are we then pressing forward with this resolution as is with segments 1, 2, and 3, or would we be pulling segment 1, going back to the group regarding that?
We would need a designer on board to do the work. So if we don't move forward with this, then we're at a little bit of a standstill. We can continue to talk and have community engagement, but there's no design going on. There's no work going on, which will push all these dates out.
Just for clarification also, this segment 1 is the connectivity across the highway. So the original was on local streets through the neighborhoods. The flyover avoids that. So that segment 1 is either or. The current recommendation is the flyover. So we will have that opportunity to review with the 30% design.
Perfect. And are we at LPA on this as well as the flyover in the LPA?
The LPA was done prior to the flyover.
Okay.
And that was through the neighborhoods, and it was adjusted after the LPA. So that was part of the point of contention with the MPU. And
okay.
we acknowledge that.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'll just say my hope, again, is that we're going to work through 30% design. We're going to get more clarity. We're going to understand more. We're going to go to the community. We're going to have probably some tough discussions and some folks who are very excited about it. And we're going to come to a great decision to deliver a project that's really impactful. So, if no more, please vote. All right, I'm seeing Mr. Pond is a yes, Ms. Pollock is a yes, Ms. Jones abstention, and that looks like all the votes. So with that, I'm seeing. Oh, sorry, Miss
Terminal is
Miss
still
Scott, I
showing
don't see your
processing.
vote. What's your vote, Miss Scott?
4.
4. Perfect. Okay.
I'm not sure what's happening, but every vote is showing process.
All right. We are having some technical issues. What I'm seeing here is 2 abstentions, 7 fours. Ms. Pollock, you said you were 4, correct? All right. 8 fours, 2 abstentions, and the resolution passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, continuing down the agenda, Resolution 5, authorizing a modification in contractual authorization for Clayton County Multi-Purpose Operations and Maintenance Facility demolition, IFB B 50330. Ms. Davis, yours.
Good morning, Chair Zagabe, Mr. Hunt, Ms. Allen, and other board members. My name is Kelly Davis. I'm the Director of the Facilities Program Management Team and Capital Delivery, and I am here to again request a resolution for the modification for the contractual authorization for the Clayton County Multipurpose and Operations Facility, IFB 50330. A little bit of background. Just over 2 years ago, I stood before this very committee and asked for permission to authorize a contract award for the site demolition. And on October 10th, the contract award was awarded to Complete Demolition Services for about $1.9 million. We issued notice of award a little bit later that before the work began, MARTA's Office of EHS, Environmental Health and Safety, did do some asbestos abatement on these buildings. There were 2 buildings on the site, and this site is located in Forest Park on Old Dixie Highway. It's the site of the old Kmart distribution center. There are 2 buildings. The smaller building was about 292 square feet, 200, and the larger one was just over $1 million. We're doing the demolition B. The voids. This was not accounted for in the first survey. So we had the contractor move over to building A and continue doing work. That total turned $188,000. Work, we did the funds. For expediency, we had to issue a stop work order on building B, because 316, which is excusable delays and extensions to the contract time in the amount of $255,855. Now, the initial request was for 42 days for $383,000. However, the project manager did do a deep dive into our inspector daily reports and found that the delay was only 28 days because the contractor was working on other areas of the site and working on other tasks. So the purpose of this is to increase the board authorization by $444,557. The original board authorization was $1.9 million. For the additional asbestos is $188,706. The compensable delay is $255,851. That brings our total authorization to $2,410,157. Now, it's important to note that the contractor submitted compensable delays will not be released to them until internal audit does an analysis to see if their costs are indeed fair and reasonable. So the recommendation is for the approval of a resolution authorizing the modification and contractual authorization for the Clayton County Multi-Purpose Operations and Maintenance Facility, IFB 50330. Funding for this increase was already obtained by the parent project. We took it from funds for the overall project. So there are no additional funds needed from the budget for it. Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Motion is saying Mr.
250. Asked the reason
have was they have they could
programs.
So the board have continued project
I see here. All right. Right. Mr. Grinnell.
Off on me. Good morning, Mr. And our fair court will refer to this as the best election system. The objectives are deployment and key milestones, our internal training and communications, also our marketing, KPIs, and next steps. The objectives are threefold. One is, the first is readiness for our World Cup. We're going to be on a world stage, and we wanted to make sure that we have our equipment in place to provide that seamless connectivity and travel for our customers visiting our city. But also, we want to make sure that we have seamless transition into Better Breeze for our current customers. And I'll talk a little bit about this in the next page, but our current fare card will not work in the new fare card system. And so we are making a complete transition. Again, I'll talk a little bit more about that as well. And then lastly, we want to make sure that we're enhancing our riders' experience. And we're confident with the new equipment that reliability will be where it needs to be, since our current system is at end of life, but also their perception of safetiness, and also providing an overall frictionless transportation experience for our customers. From a deployment standpoint, for those new board members, or also to refresh where we are with the Better Breeze system, again, I mentioned that the old system is not compatible with the new system. We may be the only ones in the country that are replacing the front end, what I call the front end, the equipment, and the back end, the connectivity and all of those components. And so as you can see with the Better Breeze system, on the left-hand side, we're replacing our fare gates, we're replacing our ticket vending machines, we're replacing our validators, and we're also replacing our fare boxes on our buses. And with that will accompany, obviously, a new Better Breeze card, but also customers will be able to use their credit card
cash of From a deployment plan and key milestones, I know there's a lot on this page, but I've kind of broke it out between our customer, the deployment, and the launch. So I'll walk through the customer. The customer, between now and December, they don't need to do anything. They're going to continue to use what they have been using through the end of the year, and things will not change. Now, as we talk about deployment, they may get directed to certain gates as we make those changes, but there is no change on what they need to do from a ticket vending machine as well as at the gate. January through March, again, things won't change, but as our marketing gets dialed up, they're going to start thinking about their balance on their actual cards and start working that down. And then in April, that's when the transition starts from our current system to the Better Breeze system, and we expect them to work down those balances and then transfer over into the new system, either with the card or make other decisions to use their credit card or the app as well, in time for World Cup. From a deployment standpoint, we've started testing. We've installed our first fare gates over at Lindbergh Station. We'll continue to dial that up as we move forward with our fare gates, our ticket vending machines, and then also parallel to that, we are putting our validators on our bus. Our fare boxes on our buses will run after the World Cup. Again, that's for cash enablement, so they can continue to use cash on the current buses, and we'll just make that change after the World Cup. But the connectivity with the Better Breeze system on our bus, on our rail, at our stations, at ticket vending machines, as you can see, that'll lead up to, and then we'll finish up some of the details right after World Cup during that time. And then the launch at the very bottom, we'll start our communications starting on Monday with our PR announcement, and then start dialing up the marketing. We'll also have our communications, and then internal training will start at that time. Now, this is a little bit more detailed chart, maybe a little bit more information than you all need, but we've been working through the deployment plan, and our objective has been twofold. One is we know we have to replace the equipment and the hardware at all of our stations, but we wanted to try to make this as easy for our customers to navigate through these stations as possible. All right. In addition to that, we also wanted to make sure that we kept a solid level of fare recovery as we work through these particular changes in stations. And I'll just walk through this and what these colors mean in each of these boxes. So as we put together a plan, we actually looked at each of these stations. And the first that you see on the far left, the green, is a station where we will actually go back and deploy the gates 3 different times. So Lindbergh, that has what we call 5 arrays, we went to launch the first one as our pilot so that we can learn and test. We'll come back at a different point, and then we'll come back again to make the final change for a different gate. In the peach color, that's when we actually go back twice. So we may go to one section to replace the gates with the Better Breeze system, and then leave the current system so our riders can access the system with the current system. And then as we get closer to the transition time frame, we'll come back and change that over into the Better Breeze system. And then the last one, which is the blue, those are stations where we may only have one array, or there may be high traffic at those particular locations, such as the airport. And so we attempted to move those closer to that transition time frame so that we can make that change at one time and be able to move our customers, or enable our customers to move through pretty effortlessly. From a customer transition standpoint, we actually take a look at 4 customer groups. The first is our reduced fare and mobility riders. These are sometimes our most vulnerable riders, and we have about 55,000 of those individuals. We want to make sure that we provide the information to them, get cards in their hands early, Fortunately, we have them registered into our system, so we are reaching out through them through mailers and through other information so that we can get them transferred probably earlier in the process than the rest of our riders. Second, our institutional partners. Those are the companies as well as higher learning institutions, and we'll be able to provide information to them as well as be on site to promote the Better Breeze system and move them into the Better Breeze. And then registered Breeze users. So through the card and through the app, we have some registered users. Again, we can reach out to those folks. And then at large, the unregistered users, which is the biggest bubble, we'll talk to our marketing plan to provide that information and get them moving forward accordingly. So our goal, again, is to deliver a customer-centered, fair experience that adds the trust, provides the safety and security for all of these customers, but also provide them with different options on how they want to pay and access our system. So again, I talked about the reduced fare. We have about 55,000 in the institutional partners. For internal training, we have a full session, and we actually start next week with our operators, and we're going to have a hands-on training session, but we'll also have train the trainers. So as we have new people coming on board, or if we need to kind of sharpen the saw again with our training, we have on-hand trainers that we will be training so that they can continue to train our staff and frontline to make sure that we're up to date on the new system. And then also our training for our regional partners. We want to make sure that they're looped in early and up front. And they have been a part of many of our meetings, so they are well aware and engaged in the process that we're making. So with that, I keep going the wrong way. I'll turn it over to Stephanie.
Thank you, sir. Let me have that clicker.
Still you.
Thank you. Thank you, Nevin. Hello, everyone. I'm Stephanie Fisher. I'm the Senior Director of Communications, and I'm going to provide an external affairs campaign overview for Better Breeze. With this campaign, we want to communicate that the Better Breeze system is an easier, faster, more flexible, and more secure way to ride MARTA that will improve the rider experience, boost confidence in our system's reliability, and bring the region's transit system up to modern standards of other major cities. We have 4 primary goals with our campaign: educate riders and other key stakeholders on how to use Better Breeze, illustrate how Better Breeze enhances the customer experience by addressing concerns with the existing system, encourage early adoption of the new fare payment system, and position MARTA as a leader in transit innovation. The External Affairs Department will use all public outreach avenues and platforms available to strategically communicate and ensure customer awareness and adoption of Better Breeze. First, we have developed an overarching campaign highlighting all of the major projects and improvements coming online in April ahead of the World Cup. The New Year, New MARTA messaging campaign will include Better Breeze, Next Gen Bus Network, the Rapid A Line, our new trains, and the new app and the new website. Now, specifically with Better Breeze, the marketing and communications teams will launch a digital and social media campaign using how-to videos, online influencers, and other creative methods to inform, educate, and entertain our customers and stakeholders. The communications team will leverage our relationships with the media to generate positive headlines about Better Breeze and to create measurable positive sentiment about the project and the customer benefits. The Community Affairs team will help host events and meetings and do extensive public outreach to engage with our customers and stakeholders and ensure early adoption of the new system. The Government Affairs team will build on its partnerships with elected officials and stakeholders, providing partner toolkits with information about Better Breeze that they can then share with their audiences. And the marketing and sales teams will amplify project awareness regionally with advertisements on radio, in print, and digitally, and all of our MARTA-owned assets, including on our vehicles of you today. On the right, we have the new Breeze and digital old fair media. Now, we have been sharing high-level details of this publicly since the State of MARTA event. With the beginning of Fairgate and ticket navigate any construction journey. The more formal We're going to start with weekly engagement with audiences first as part of the New Year, New MARTA campaign I mentioned, and then more specifically about this particular project. This phase also includes more individual touch points with our reduced fare and mobility customers and our institutional and regional transit partners. And as Nevin mentioned, some of this direct outreach is already underway by our customer service, sales, and Better Breeze project teams. The full public awareness launch is in March and April as we encourage customers to spend down their current accounts, educate them on how to use the new system, and inform them how and where they can download the new app and get their new cards. Now, by this time, we will have been communicating about Better Breeze with our customers, stakeholders, and partners for about 21 weeks before customer transition begins in April. Our external affairs efforts certainly do not end once that transition is complete, though. We will continue to educate and inform our customers and visitors about Better Breeze through the World Cup next summer. Thank you, and I'll hand things back over to Nevin.
All right. To talk about our KPIs, again, our objectives were customer-centric. We wanted to make sure that we were ready for World Cup, that we converted our current customers into the new system, as well as enhance the perception. And so our KPIs kind of follow that with readiness, so Fairgate and deployment training completed. Our customer conversion rates, so we'll take a look, be able to monitor and take a look at how we're converting our customers and when. Our rider satisfaction and sentiment, so we'll take a look at our survey mechanisms, our call centers, and personal interaction to see how we're doing and how we're received, as well as taking a look at our revenue. So with our new system, making sure that it's working properly, we're able to monitor, and it's working as it should be. So those are kind of our 4 KPIs that we are looking at as we move forward. And then lastly, with our deployment, and I shared this earlier, but as you can see with the vertical shaded line between October and November, next week we kick this off and we start accelerating our deployment as we continue to move forward with our effort here. With that, I will answer any questions.
All right. Thank you both for the great update. Milestone ahead. Ms. Jones first.
Stephanie, really helpful so much. A few questions for you. First, with the pilot, you can't use your current card for that. So does that mean that that Fairgate is out of service?
For the can only use cards that will not. So we'll and we'll have signage up for it.
Okay. And so for the test, have regular testing as
well? We're together, but twofold. One is we'll start with having our employees that write our system understand that, and then provide some instructions and things to do, and then we'll recruit some of the public folks in January. So
okay, and can you walk a little bit through that what the after testing and as the fare being put up.
So you might want to put slide in the back.
What we'll see at 5 points or other things, we'll have directional signage directing them. So it's on a station-by-station basis, and we've looked at each of these stations, whether we can direct people to the current system, and so we'll have signage for that. Where there isn't that opportunity, then we may have an emergency gate open, or in certain circumstances, we may have, we'll wait until we get closer to that transition period and may have those particular gates open. One of the things that we realized is that, again, as I mentioned, some of the gates open, we realized that we can, while the gate may be open and we're looking at how people board and also egress, that we can still catch or capture fare as they exit, but then as they come back through, they may need to enter, tap, and then as they exit on the back end, they'll actually walk through. So we had to look at each of these particular stations on an individual basis, but then also our signage will be on a station-by-station basis on how to guide them based on our deployment plan.
Gotcha. And then one final question, as you get to that spin down period, or in April, where you're transitioning from the previous system to the new system, will you have pop-up able to purchase free cards to pay, but for those that have a card, will the individual, so that
Great question. One of the things is as we deploy, get into the stations, customers are listening, so that's to bring in they pay talk or that we help them transition. So it may start actually transition period ahead of it.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Mr. Loke, and then first.
I'm going to, you said the is for April. Is that balance?
What during the April time, that's 3 days intensive on people current that exhaust them and they can or the card.
So there is a balance that customer answer.
Balance from cubic to init. Customers need to spend down their balance row.
Because if not, it's lost. What I'm communicating. Answers the question.
Okay. Mr. Lowe?
Nevin and Stephanie, thanks for putting this together. You may have point on Diet Coke. You haven't. Will there ever be where a rider have to have two, depending on from, a train, they get come back where they both
Design, I would hope not. We've designed this, and I think period in allow for that. So have the current we close, then wherever those gates may be, we may have gates during that period, but our transition at the end of April, no. So we'll also these stations.
Yeah, I didn't need.
Question. What money that the company don't just queue it, or do we get it? It's ours. I love that answer.
Great. The only question I had, and it's on page, is just rider experience. It is Valentine's Day, and Georgia Dome Station. Does that be our open gates through that? Like, because both of them. But I just want to.
Based on field dynamics, it's pretty set. So based on what we have here with both of those, yes, those would be in a particular time. And we amount of fare into this, but yes, based on that, you're right. Yep.
All right. Thank you. Seeing no more questions, please vote.
It's a briefing.
Please vote on if you would like a better chair. But do that privately. All right, great. Well, with that, any other matters to come before the committee?
I have
Ms. Scott, yep.
Steve on the train update, the transit and decap.
I know we're going before the cab commissioner in 2 weeks. I'll be updating that. Update on this to the board.
Please.
Oh, okay. No problem.
Okay. If then.
Safety Committee. And the first item on our agenda is approval of the September 25th, 2025 Operations and Safety Committee meeting minutes. It has been properly moved in. Is there any discussion around the minutes? Vote. I'm still trying to read this. Does it tell me it's passed though? 'Cause Your minutes have passed. The first item that comes before our committee is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract for the procurement and disposal of bus battery services, IFB B50715. Daniel Heck, Deputy Chief Mechanical Officer. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Hartage, Vice Chair Scott, Mr. Hunt, Ms. Allen, and members of the Board of Directors. My name is Daniel Hecht, and today I'll be presenting two resolutions, the first of which is Agenda Item Number 2, a resolution authorizing the award of a contract for the procurement and disposal of bus batteries, IFB B 50715. A quick overview of our fleet. We have 539 revenue buses at MARTA, and we also have 494 non-revenue vehicles that support operations and MARTA Police. MARTA uses three main battery types, excluding specialized batteries for equipment. These are the flooded 8D batteries, which are used in a revenue bus fleet, Commercial Group 31, which are used in non-revenue vehicles, and Group 65, used in our larger commercial trucks. Bus Maintenance Engineering completed an in-depth study of battery failures and battery maintenance practices as part of this procurement. As part of this study, we are able to limit the number of different battery types required for our vehicle fleets, reducing battery usage from 8 different battery types down to 3 I just mentioned for this procurement. This provides better reliability, battery availability, ease of maintenance, and better use of funds. MARTA also requires proper disposal of batteries, and the batteries used at MARTA are recycled by the supplier. Proper disposal and recycling of batteries is part of this procurement. For procurement considerations, the bid submitted by Continental Battery Company was determined to be the lowest responsive and responsible bid, with the bid amount of $1,994,100 for a 5-year term. Of note, this is an up to amount based on the usage of batteries. Lastly, Bus Maintenance requests that the Operations and Safety Committee recommend to the full board the approval of the procurement and disposal of bus batteries in the amount of $1,994,100. Thank you, and I will take any questions you have.
Do we have a motion and a second? It's been moved and properly seconded. Do we have any questions? Seeing none, please vote. This is what happened to me today. I cannot get it done. Okay, there we go. Mr. Pond is a yes, and the motion has passed. Thank you. Next is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract for vehicle towing services, IFB 50685. Mr. Heck, you're remaining up for another one.
Yep, good morning again. I'd like to bring to your attention agenda item number 3, which is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract for the procurement of vehicle towing services, IFB B 50685. Today I'll briefly discuss our service area and an overview of incident types and service calls that MARTA receives on our revenue and non-revenue vehicle fleets, a towing summary at MARTA, and present procurement considerations for this contract. For discussion purposes only, MARTA breaks up our service area into 3 main zones shown on this slide. Zone 1 being Fulton County in the city of Atlanta, Zone 2 being DeKalb County, Zone 3 being Clayton County. This equates to 937 square miles of service area. As such, MARTA is recommending a multiple award contract for towing services so vehicles can receive towing services within 90 minutes of a call. Of note, with this procurement, vendors are not constrained to only towing within a certain zone. The vendor with the closest response time and resources can respond to any MARTA incident anywhere within this service area. MARTA has over 1,000 incidents per year. This is largely due to the sheer number of miles our vehicles run each day, with buses running approximately 75,000 miles per day on average, for example, and our non-revenue fleet adds another approximately 2 million miles per year that we run. This contract includes towing services for accidents and incidents for our vehicle fleet and includes cleanup of any accident debris as well. This also includes the future MARTA REACH program, just for reference. MARTA also experiences service calls due to buses having equipment failures or safety issues such as flat tires or operator concerns about the safety and performance of the vehicle. In instances where a vehicle cannot be repaired en route, it is towed to a division for proper repair. With 380 bus runs per day and 250 non-revenue vehicles operating each day, we average about 5 tows per day, which is less than 1% of the total vehicle operating fleet. The Cost per tow on average is shown here with an a 40-foot bus costing about $410, a 60-foot articulated accordion style bus costing $450, and non-revenue vehicles costing between $200 and $400 depending on the size and vehicle type. Procurement considerations. The bids submitted by Gibbs Automotive and Electronics LLC and S&W Services of Atlanta Incorporated were determined to be responsive and responsible. And the price is determined to be fair and reasonable based on price competition. Bus Maintenance requests the Operations and Safety Committee recommend to the full board the approval of the procurement of vehicle towing services in the amount of $4,241,800. Thank you, and I will take any questions you may have.
Can we have a motion and a second? It's been moved. Do we have any questions? Ms. Jones?
Hey, Mr. Hecht. We're for last year.
You have a great, we do have tow trucks, a flat that we use for the non-revenue vehicle fleet. We do a portion of our tow using our maintenance staff. Both tow trucks are primarily used for high-profile events, moving vehicles between divisions, so moving something from Laredo to Browns Mill for a heavy repair. And we are trying to ramp up staffing so that we can do more tows internally with our own tow trucks.
Okay. So this will be in addition to complement that.
That is correct.
Service.
So if our tow trucks are at Browns Mill, correct, Tony? So if we have an incident up in Alpharetta, for example, one of these services quicker than bringing our tow truck up. Vehicle earlier out of the road.
Okay.
This complements our own services in
based on the and the availability.
Is the outsourcing to these assets?
I'm going to bring up Superintendent of Bus Maintenance to help answer that.
I have a follow-up question while I'm asking.
No problem. Good morning to you. The percentage, the vast majority of towing is done by the contractors. Said, and the thing that we would like to use our internal tow truck a lot more. So our internal tows is roughly 5% of what we're trying to have that internal, from Laredo to events and other issues. Biggest thing is why I love to have these before we had multiple vendors at this point, might have a tow down and not get a tow up in Alpharetta, and it might be hours before.
No, I think that's great to use them when you need them, but my purpose, do we really, you answer that and answer? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Ms. Jones?
Yeah, I just have a quick follow-up. Is this rate or is this based upon service provided? So
it is flat rate per vehicle type. Yes.
So the service you have to pay?
No, ma'am, no. Rate for what we call for. Calling for a tow 40-foot, it's going to be $400 wherever the service area is.
Any other questions? Please vote. Mr. Ponder, you a yes. Anyone else having problems voting? Ms. Scott? Okay. Ms. Scott, are you a yes also? Okay. This has passed.
Thank you.
Next, we have a resolution authorizing the solicitation of proposals for the procurement of vending services for MARTA headquarters and satellite facilities, RFP P50783. Sean Thomas is Director of our facilities. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman, Chair Hardage, Vice Chair Scott, Mr. Hunt, Ms. Allen, and members of the board. My name is Sean Thomas, Director of Facilities. Today I'm here to present agenda item number 4, which is resolution for RFP 50783. And this is authorizing the solicitation of proposals for the procurement of vending services for headquarters and the satellite facilities. The primary purpose of this agreement is to promote employee morale and by providing a convenient access to snacks and beverages at employee-facing areas of MARTA facilities. For additional context, the agreement covers a variety of facilities, and this ranges from administrative locations like here at headquarters, the annex building, or uptown, to some of our operations and maintenance locations for rail, bus, or streetcar, as well as some of the employee break areas such as station staff rooms, etc. As part of this new solicitation request, we look forward to exploring opportunities with some industry trends with regards to different product selections, improved automated solutions, remote monitoring of inventory, and other enhancements that will help us to improve this experience for MARTA employees. With that in mind, the Department of Mechanical Operations respectfully requests the Operations and Safety Committee recommend to the full board the approval of this resolution authorizing the solicitation for procurement of vending services for MARTA headquarters and satellite facilities. I appreciate your time and consideration, and at this time I turn it back over to you, Chair.
Thank you. Can we have a motion and a second, please? Those are in place. Do we have any questions? Okay, please vote. Mr. Ponder, you a yes. Ms. Scott? Okay. It passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next briefing are the MARTA Key Performance Indicators. Robert Goodwin, Assistant General Manager for Research and Analysis. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Hardy, Mr. Hunt, who left, Ms. Allen, and Operations and Safety Committee. Again, my name is Rob Goodwin. I'm Assistant General Manager of Research and Analysis. And our mission in Research and Analysis is to turn data into information to help move MARTA from good to great. You've requested a briefing on MARTA's Key Performance Indicators, or KPIs. So the purpose of my presentation is to provide a brief overview of our current set of KPIs, describe a couple of changes that we'll be making to enhance and streamline them to better focus on our strategic priorities of safe, clean, and reliable performance, and then also give you an overview or present the plan for KPI briefings going forward. So why do we track and report KPIs? There's really 3 main reasons why we do this. First is transparency, to build credibility and confidence with the public who've entrusted their funds to us. Second, it's accountability within MARTA to make sure that we're managing and using those funds appropriately. And third, it's really to drive performance improvement, to ensure that MARTA is providing safe, clean, and reliable service to our customers. I talked to some people who have been here a little bit longer than I have at MARTA, and it's clear we've been reporting KPIs since at least 1999, and probably longer than that. The documentation's a bit spotty, but as best I can tell, the KPIs in their current form were selected by the board and the executive management team back in 2009. That's when they first appeared in the current form in an operations committee meeting. So as you may know, the board reviews 30 KPIs each month, and those KPIs are subsequently published to itsmarta.com so the public can review them as well. By the way, yeah, this is a screenshot here on the right in this slide of our public KPI webpage on itsmarta.com. So we can group these 30 KPIs into these 5 categories: productivity, reliability, customer service, efficiency, safety, and security. And I just want to note that we'll be adding, at the board's request, we'll be adding a new KPI starting next month, which is missed trips by mode. In fact, you're going to be receiving a briefing shortly from Duana and Jorge on sort of the status of our missed trips on rail and bus. So with respect to our strategic priorities of safe, clean, and reliable service, really the only obvious gap here in our KPIs is we don't currently have a KPI measuring cleanliness. So I'll come back to that in a moment. So for some context here, we reviewed the publicly available KPIs for 12 large transit agencies here in the U.S. Those are listed here on the left. And across the top of the table is basically the 30 KPIs that we report. And the check marks indicate simply which of these agencies also report these same KPIs or something similar. They don't always define them exactly the same way, which makes apples-to-apples comparisons challenging, but generally speaking, they're the same KPIs. So, the bottom line here is that there's no statutory or regulatory requirement that we report KPIs, but we do, MARTA does, and the KPIs that we report are generally consistent with what other large transit authorities in the U.S. report. So one of the emerging themes when we were reviewing these KPIs for these other agencies is that over half of them include some form of customer feedback in their KPIs. And in research and analysis, we performed the Voice of the Customer survey, where we go out into the system and intercept our customers on buses, trains, and stations to ask them to rate our performance. So our plan is, going forward, we're going to include customer satisfaction and ratings in the KPIs on a quarterly basis. Yep. The second change we're making, so the board has discussed the possibility of streamlining the KPIs to focus on those vital few that are best reflecting the safe, clean, and reliable strategic priorities. So we're proposing to do that as well, to limit it to these KPIs for reporting to the board on a monthly basis. Doesn't mean we won't continue to track and report the other KPIs. We will do that, but in terms of briefings to the boards, we'll be talking about these KPIs. In addition to customer satisfaction, customer ratings, the only other new KPIs that we'll be introducing is under clean, and that is the percentage of bus and rail car, they're called heavy or major cleanings that are performed on time. So that'll be so this will plug that gap that I mentioned a few minutes ago about not having KPIs about cleanliness. And also the reason we're adding that new KPI is that it's good to have a balance between objective measures, things like measuring how much of something or how often we're doing things or we're doing them on time, and subjective measures, what our customers think of how we're doing in terms of cleanliness. And you'll notice across the board we have this balance between objective and subjective measures. So I just want to also take a moment here to address this may be a point of confusion about why is it that you're seeing KPIs, when the board reviews the KPIs, you're already seeing them from 2 months ago, right? So this is a sort of generic timeline of our monthly KPI process, starting at the left in month 1, let's say that's August. It's really not until about the 20th of the second month, or September in this case, when we're collecting and validating the data for the KPIs for August. And then once we've done that, we then distribute that information internally for review, and that process continues through month 3, or October, and culminates with the briefing or the presentation to the Operations and Safety Committee meeting. So that's why, in this case, in October, you're seeing KPIs from August. The week following this meeting, we then publish these to itsmarta.com, to the web. I also just want to point out that, the reason for this kind of a protracted process, we want to make sure we got, the best and quality assured information that we're providing to you and the public. But, when we get this information, say in month 2 or even during month 1, as this information is coming in, it's not like we're waiting for 2 months to act on this, right? If we see something where the needle is showing red, we're going to address it. We're going to internally see what sort of triage we can do to get things back on the right track. So I don't want you to feel like this 2-month process means that we're not using the information judiciously and timely. We are. So one of the reasons I was telling you that is that, so this is the proposed briefing schedule going forward on KPIs. We're going to start next month because the Q1 of fiscal year 26 ended in September. So those data won't be available till next month. So the plan is to start next month with monthly briefings, and we're going to split these KPIs up into 3 subgroups, so they're not spending each, these meetings all with KPIs. So we're going to, at each meeting, we're going to have a subgroup, starting with bus mobility next month. There's no briefing in December, then heavy rail and streetcar in January, safety and security and customer satisfaction in February, and then we'll continue that cycle going forward. So finally, just wrapping up, next steps. Again, you'll get the briefing next month on the Q1 results for mobility and bus. We'll be adding missed trips to the KPIs that you'll review and that go out to the public. And then finally, we are creating a dashboard for the board so that you'll be able to review these KPIs and basically everything that we publish to the web, you'll be able to look back at the history of these KPIs and trends. And you'll be able to, it'll be electronic, right? It's through a web interface, so you can view them anywhere at any time. This is a sort of a mock-up of what it might look like. Don't get too attached to this, because we're still making changes, but the plan is to beta test with that with you all next month. We'd like to move away from these, the paper copies of slides that are into something more dynamic, and hopefully you'll find this helpful. So that's the plan. And with that, thank you for your attention. I turn it back over to you, Chair Hardage.
Do we have any questions? Okay, Ms. Ide.
Thank you. This has been fantastic, and it's what I think we've been talking about for, I don't know, 6 to 12 months now. So I really, really appreciate your work, Ms. Allen's work on giving us really the insights from these KPIs. Can you, one that I have, been most interested in that has been a little opaque in the past is that customer satisfaction, because it's been mostly geared off of, is somebody unhappy enough that they're, complaining to us versus just sort of, how was their experience? So what other data are we collecting that's going to go into that going forward?
Yeah, so thank you for your question. So as I mentioned, we have this ongoing survey that we have staff that go out. Now it's a paper survey, and we're basically asking people for, one of the questions is, are you satisfied? I can't remember the exact, but it's a satisfaction question. And then we ask about the different, all sorts of parts of the customer experience journey, whether it's purchasing their fare, waiting, the cleanliness, do they feel safe, is it reliable? We ask them to rate us on all those on a scale from 0 to 10. So we have that information. So it's not, if I'm understanding your question, it's not just people calling to complain.
Yeah.
It's, we're catching people in their daily lives. If they want to, answer the survey, great. We try to make it a statistically representative sample. So we're hopefully catching everybody, the entire cross-section of our customer base.
Is that just in rail stations, or are you getting people on buses also? Because I've never been asked to do one, and I don't know that I've seen one, but
we're out there pretty much every day.
Okay.
So in stations, on trains, in buses, we have a survey where we call mobility customers as well. Streetcar, we don't currently survey on streetcar.
Are there, and not that I want us to, get more vendors and spend more money, but going forward, are there things that we could think about of, a lot of times when you leave a public restroom or a store or something, and it's the, you know, smiley face, the, you know, neutral face, the frowny face, something like that, or getting, you know, whether it could be through the app of getting a survey that, you know, shows that you took a ride. Are there other things you all are thinking about going forward that aren't, you know, require, you know, somebody to pause during their commute to do the, you know, fill out a survey?
Yeah. Yes. And so, for example, with the new zone system that's coming up as part of the bus network redesign, that technology, we talked about it with the vendor about the ability to enable people, because they're usually working through their phone to actually take a survey when they complete a trip or sometime after that, as an example.
Okay.
And we also have a panel survey, a panel that we've developed, so it's people who have agreed to give us feedback on stuff. So, you know, when we have questions, we can submit it to that panel as well, so we're not necessarily having to interrupt them during their day. And we also provide a QR code, so people, if they can't take the survey right at that moment, they can go later. Don't get a whole lot of feedback through that channel, but it's available.
Okay, that's great. And the QR code, that's a great idea. I mean, with the new, when we get our new rail cars and they have the electronic signage, that seems like that'd be pretty easy to pop up on a inexpensive basis to how was your ride today and have a QR code. My last, that's all fantastic. My last just sort of question, comment, request is, I love the briefing schedule, and just what we haven't always done in the past has just been a little, I think when it was for information purposes only, people weren't necessarily thinking ahead of what questions we may have. And so, you know, if we had a quarter, if we'd had a month where we didn't, you know, hit our goals, the next time that briefing comes around, which I guess will be on a 3-month rotation-ish, it'd be great to talk about what you all did in light of the, you know, the data and what, you know, sort of what the lessons learned were when we have not done well and what we're doing in response to that. Thanks.
Point taken. Thank you, Ms. Hyde. And Rob didn't mention it, but we already have a Voice of Customer Action Committee. So even now, when there's information that comes in, they're not waiting, as he mentioned before, to action these things, but we just haven't been actually sharing what's been happening. So we'll make sure, even if it's, you know, we're not going to wait for 3 months, but even if it's just they mention at the next meeting of what happened, we can do that.
Yes, Ms. Pollock.
I think you made my whole day, if not week. So I'm so pumped.
My job is
about
done.
it. Thank you. I'm like really, really thrilled to see us moving in this direction. I have a couple of other questions, and these may be items that y'all track internally, but the board does not need to see, and I'm certainly not asking to see them. I just want to kind of make sure that we are looking at them to a certain degree. And the first is the prediction. Do we look at the accuracy of our real-time data?
That's a great one. It's on our radar. We don't, to my knowledge, I don't think anyone here is going to be able to call me on it, but we're not able to at this moment. But it's, yes.
I would love it.
I would love it too. Yeah, honestly.
We're in violent agreement.
Yes.
And then I know I brought this up at a past meeting, and Jonathan said something y'all would look into, but just some like employee satisfaction tracking, employee surveys.
Yeah, so it's been a minute since we conducted an employee satisfaction survey, so.
And yes, we acknowledge that. Ms. Dawkins and I spoke about this a couple of weeks ago, and we will, and it likely will be during a business management committee. She's going to work on what that looks like, the internal employee, voice of employee comments will look like, and how can we share that information, and even information on the benefits and health. There were questions around that at another meeting, and so we're going to work on that as we've kind of gotten our operations piece down.
Perfect. That great town hall made me harken back to that question. And then the last question, I know that when we were talking about the AFC 2.0, Better Breeze, team shared KPIs, which is great. Does this have any synergies with your the questions that you're asking from a customer experience perspective, like around ease of fare purchasing or that type of thing as we roll it out, just so we can track it and then tout it.
Yes, yeah. We again, that's part of the customer journey that we do ask about.
Okay.
And the nice part about having this in-house ability is it's very nimble. Like if we want to tweak our questions or add something, we just print new surveys. You know, so yes, short answer is yes.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Mr. Frierson?
Yeah, thank you for the information. And I know you mentioned QR codes as a way to capture some of the data, customers' comments. And I'm not sure if you mentioned it on the mobility service side on the vehicles. I think that's a great opportunity to be able to see, get feedback from those who ride on the mobility service, how the driver is performing, how the driver handling that situation. And it would really help them in understanding, you know, whether they're really delivering the service. And I know that they are tracking some of this information. I'm just not sure at what point it is collected. And I hope that we can do it at the source where people are getting on and off these vehicles, because they travel on different times.
Yeah. So we do, again, we survey, now it's twice a year, but again, it's statistically meaningful sample of mobility customers. We call them, and one of the things we ask them to rate is their, the drivers, the operators, and how well they drove. So we have that information, and we've been doing that actually for several years. So it's a long, ongoing study to get customer feedback on.
Yeah, and I've seen some of the information, some of the trends.
Okay.
I have some reservations, because I just want to make sure that, because I get calls and I hear from those who use mobility service some of their situations and experience, and I just think that I just want to make sure that we're not missing some folks, because you know it's difficult when people have to call a number to complain about something as opposed to when it's actually happening and they're able to report it. I think you just really get the sense of what's going on. So that's my comments. Okay. I thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Our next briefing is on the bus mobility mistrips. Dewana Brown, Interim Director of Chief Bus Operations. Welcome.
Good morning. Good morning, Chair Hardage, Vice Chair Scott, Mr. Hunt, Ms. Allen, and members of the board. I am providing a briefing this morning on bus. I am Dewana Brown, Interim Deputy Chief of Bus Operations, and I will be providing a briefing on bus and mobility mistrips. In bus operations, mistrips occur when a scheduled bus does not operate as planned. This can happen for several reasons, including operator shortages, vehicle maintenance issues, or other unforeseen circumstances that prevent service from being delivered. Mistrips directly impact service reliability, customer satisfaction, and overall system performance. Reducing mistrips is a core measure of operational excellence and customer trust in MARTA's bus network. What you'll see on this slide is it illustrates a significant rise in mistrips in 2023, and that spike occurred when additional service was introduced without corresponding increase in the number of available operators at the time, which supported the expanded schedule. Since then, staffing levels and training have significantly improved and stabilized the service delivery across all garages. This slide breaks down the causes of missed trips by categories. You'll see the oranges are the trip missed due to no operator available. Blue are trips missed due to maintenance or mechanical issues. And yellow are trips that are missed due to other reasons, such as traffic delays, operational disruptions, and there are a number of other reasons. Collaboration between bus ops and maintenance are improving fleet availability and response times. And we also have contributing improvements, such as more operators entering service faster due to CDL-ready hires, better attendance tracking and support programs, and improved coordination between HR and training operations team. On this last slide, you'll see that it highlights a 10% increase in bus operator staffing over the past 3 years, which correlates with a steady decrease in missed trips, demonstrating the positive impact of improved staffing levels on service reliability. Key drivers for that improvement are increased hiring and experienced operators, as I just mentioned, with the CDL, and reducing training time and improving reliability. Focus efforts on operator attendance, retention, and accountability. And also ongoing initiatives that we have, we will include weekly interviews and monthly career fairs to maintain a steady pipeline. We will continue pursuit of full staffing levels to sustain reliable and safe service. And MARTA also has a continued investment in people, processes, and performance that will lead to measurable gains in service delivery, currently at 97%, and the authority remains committed to delivering safe, clean, and reliable service to every patron every day. On our last slide for mobility, a definition of a missed trip in mobility is a trip in which vehicle arrives outside of the 30-minute on-time window and the passenger does not ride. The target selection is a missed trip target of 0.50% that reflects a balance between FTA 88 expectations for fixed route comparable paratransit service and industry standards showing that reliable systems typically maintain missed trips at a rate of under 1%. The target was selected to ensure both regulatory compliance and high-quality service to riders. The FTA 88 framework is a no federal numeric limit on missed trips. The 49 CFR 37.131 its service must be comparable to fixed route and free of comparable capacity constraints. FTA Circular 4710.1 our agencies must monitor and correct missed trips. Industry practices are most U.S. systems aim for the 1% missed trips. Rates above 2 to 3% may signal noncompliance or capacity issues. MARTA mobility targets aligns with national best practices of a 1%, ensures ADA compliance and reliable equitable service. Balances accountability with operational realities, such as traffic and breakdowns, and require under each mobility operations and maintenance contract. The key message here is that MARTA's missed trip target supports ADA comparability, maintains service quality, and aligns with national performance standards. Recent trends, FY24 to date, there was an increase in driving challenges, exponential post-COVID ridership growth. FY22 monthly average trip count was 38,907. FY23 monthly average was 47,118, which was a 21.10% increase from FY22. FY24 monthly average trip was 52,556, which was an 11.54% increase from FY23. And FY25 monthly average trip count was 56,764, which was an 8% increase from FY24. Lack of human, mechanical, and stable technological resources were against ridership growth. Fluctuating contractor workforce, vehicle availability and reliability, not enough vehicles, age of fleet, and some vehicles already 5 years old by 2023. Frequently recurring trapeze pass failures, intermittent radio system failures, and ultimately resolved in and around January 2024, still coming lingering challenges. Corrective strategies that triggered immediate improvement. In Q1 and 2 of FY23, additional fleet subcontractors, Big Star, Silver Ride, and U-Serve added under First Transit, expanding and diversifying the delivery mode to include the use of non-MARTA-owned vehicles. In Q1 and 2 of FY24, TransDev centralized scheduling and dispatch overhaul. September 24 met with TransDev's executive leadership to discuss centralized scheduling and dispatching deficiencies. October of 24, TransDev brought in regional leadership consultant to revamp scheduling and dispatch operations to include retraining of all staff in coordination with in-house reservations call center. November of 24, missed trips targets met and maintained to date. Ongoing maintenance strategies. We will be maintaining contract oversight and accountability, engaging internal support offices such as IT, radio, and et cetera, for assistance to recover as needed. And lastly, upcoming, transition to RIDECO from Trapeze Pass. There will be innovative service optimizations, increased automation, which will diminish human error, and customer-facing technology in a real-time service app. So at this time, I'll turn it back over to you, Chair Hardage.
Do we have any questions? Mr. Palm?
When I look at the slide, it's titled Bus Missed Trips Have Decreased Due to a Drop in Cases of No Operator Availability.
Yes, sir.
And we have a contract for a private vendor to provide the operators, correct?
Now, this is for the fixed route. Are you talking about fixed route or mobility?
Mobility. Did I miss something?
Mobility was the last slide.
Okay.
Mr. Bond, are you referring to slide 3 or slide 5?
He
I
thought
was
slide
looking
3
at
was mobility. I did
Okay.
too.
All right. So yes, slide 3 does refer to our fixed route bus service.
Okay. So my issue is I guess my question was, is how much of this is coming from the private contracts? This is just the fixed routes then, right?
Yes, sir. This slide speaks specifically to bus.
Okay. We're good.
Ms. Bolton Harris?
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. And I'm going to reference slide 4, the percentages of bus trips missed. You know, I'm looking at this target line, and it just looks like, you know, my question is the target right? Because just looking at this graph, since July 2022, we haven't been anywhere close to it as far as reducing the rate of missed trips. I know there's a lot of investment going on with the next gen redesign, but you know, and I know one spike came from a staffing issue, but even with staffing improving, it just hasn't declined, you know, as rapid as I guess maybe my perception it should. So when we're looking at this, are we looking at the routes and making sure that, you know, we have routes that are not having passengers that are not on there, that they're just not kind of just riding around without having passengers there? Just, do we need to consolidate service? I know you all consolidate routes, but do we need to look at consolidating more routes to reduce the risk of having missed trips? I just looking at it hovering. And then the second question would be, is the target even correct? I mean, is it industry standard that that's where the target is? I would hope so, being that people rely on the bus to be able to get to and from work and whatever else they need to do for appointments. But it just seems that the persistent hovering well above the target line, that's not the graph I'm looking at. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the one, the percentage of bus trips missed at its lowest.
This one?
Go, that one. That's the one I'm looking at. So it's just, how do we, you know, 2 years in, going, you know, getting ready to go into 3 years in, how do we do a better job to make sure that that line continues to drop down, short of making sure we have staff? Or are we looking at the routes to make sure they're appropriate?
So what this slide represents is the percent, it was the spike in missed trips,
Right,
which you'll
I know.
see going up high, and then coming down low is where we're trending in a positive direction.
Right, but even comparing it back to prior to the spike, it's still elevated, so.
Hi, Paul Lopes, Chief Operations and Urban Planning Officer. It's a good question. If you go back to the slide with the actual, keep going, that one. So what Dwana was speaking to is all the measures we have taken into account since the shortage, since the changes with COVID. We've come back below where we were, but I do take your point into account. We are working to get it down to an industry average benchmark, so that target is comparable to our peer networks. So that is typically where we are. You know, we can get down to 0, but it's cost prohibitive. It would just be an intense amount of resources. So that is a comparable baseline. What we are looking to do, to your question about reallocating routes, making the whole network more efficient and more effective, we hope that, our hope is that with the next gen bus, which we're launching in April, that we are launching a network which is faster, better, smarter, and hopefully those changes will be reflected in availability, so that'll have an impact. We are also looking at and working with the FSO team to look at the other side of the equation, which is maintenance issues and availability of buses and breakdowns. So there are maintenance issues that go into this. There is the effectiveness of the overall network and the route design, that you are correct. And in addition to that, there is workforce availability both in maintenance and on the operator side. So we are looking at each one of those factors to hopefully continue to drive this down. Right now, as Duan has mentioned, we think we have the workforce issue addressed. We do have a meeting this afternoon with HR to look at augmenting even more operators and mechanics to make sure that that issue is well taken care of. What we are also working and continuing to do is looking at processes to better refine the maintenance aspect of the fleet. So more timely responses to issues as they arise, better measurement of mean time to repair faults, and better measurement of recurring faults. So that basically once we have a fault fixed, we're not looking at that equipment unavailability, which is another factor that's impacting this. So hopefully, you're right, the last 2 years we haven't seen a change. We've just addressed the issues that caused the spike, but now we're going to work at whittling it down closer to the industry average.
Okay, thank you. And you're saying that this targeted line here, that's the industry standard, or where we are currently positioned as of July 25, that's where you were just,
no,
unless I misinterpreted what you said.
No, the target is that one. The target is where we want to get to.
Right.
That is the industry standard.
Okay,
so
that's okay.
We are,
all right.
we are working towards getting to there.
Okay, all right, thank you, I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So our last briefing is Rail Service Mistrips. George Bernard, who is our Deputy Chief of Rail Operations. Welcome.
Good afternoon. And good afternoon, Chair Hargage, Vice Chair Scott, Ms. Allens, and members of the Operations and Safety Committee. My name is Jorge Bernard. I am the Deputy Chief of Rail Operations, and I will be talking to you briefly about the mistrips for heavy rail, rail services, and light rail as well. So first, I'll start with what is a mistrip. A mistrip for rail is a trip that does not depart the originating point at the terminal point to make its scheduled trip. There are many things that affect what a mistrip is, and some of those things I'll get into in a little bit here on the presentation. Now, this slide represents the trend since June of 2022. Two important points that I want to mention first of is on August of 2023, we increased our rail service, as you can see on this graph here, with a little bit of a spike on the negative trend there. And the reason for that was because we did not have the associated operators to support that increase in rail service. Now, I'll talk about the staffing here in the next slide to talk a little bit more about that. The other point is that in December of 2024, we also have another schedule increase that affected us negatively in the sense of the mistrips as well, and that was also associated to the operators' availability. And again, I'll talk about that in the next slide. I will talk more about the staffing on that next slide, but however, on this particular slide, I want to talk about some of the other factors that impact the number of mistrips. For example, weather, as you can recall, we had an incident, actually two incidents in the month of January of 2025 that impeded us from performing the service that we had scheduled to perform. And there were two events that were just a couple weeks apart that affected us multiple days on each event. And you see that big spike there in January about the missed trips. Another item that affects our missed trips is maintenance-related issues. They affect our missed trips because we have issues that are associated to the maintenance of the trains. We have difficulties that would necessitate us to take that train out of service, causing additional missed trips. The also item that would perform for associated with the maintenance is when we have to do service strategy to recover our service, meaning that we have to offload the train and change directions so that we can compensate those customers going in the other direction where we have a gap in service. So that is constituted to a little bit of a service strategy. Another item that affects us in a negative manner is passenger related. issues, such as unauthorized trespasser on the wayside. We do have to recover from that by taking some excessive, very extensive measures to be able to secure those customers, make sure that the customers are not harmed when they're on the wayside. And the other item with regards to passengers that affect us quite heavily is medical emergencies or sick passengers. Usually when that happens, that determines that we have to stop that train and wait for emergency vehicles to arrive and take care of those customers, and that affects our service, and that impacts that particular train for an extended period of time, where we end up having multiple missed trips as a result of that. This next slide here, it talks about a little bit more about our staffing levels. As I mentioned, in August we had a service increase. However, we did not have the numbers of the operators that we wanted to at that particular time to justify to be able to support that increase. That doesn't mean that we weren't doing anything to increase our staffing levels. As you can see, prior months to that, we were starting to show a positive increase of our operator availability. However, we did have a high number of what we call a fail rate in the classes for the new operators that we were bringing onboarding into the rail service. And also we had an attrition rate issue of operators that were leaving for various reasons. As you can see, for pretty much the duration of the next year, that trend remained almost flat. We were basically losing people at the same rate as we were graduating individuals from classes. What we did to improve those numbers is we increased our number of classes, and we also increased the size of our classes to be able to have a better retention and get ahead of that curve. We finally started seeing fruitful gains in that aspect of it in about November 2024, December 2024, we started to see a little bit of an increase. We maintained that high cadence of classes and the high number of participation in those classes, meaning keeping those classes sizes a little bit larger than we were used to in previous years. And you see that positive trend where we're able to retain more operators, and we continue to make that progress to date. Happy to announce that we had our last class that started just this past Monday, with an additional 15 individuals in that class, and we're still holding steady on that a few days into it. We typically lose the first few people on the first 2 days of class once they realize all the studying they have to do and what is involved in training and being prepared for operating a train. So we're happy to say that we have this class that just recently started, and we are maintaining those numbers right now. This next slide is with relations to the light rail or streetcar service. As you can see, these numbers on the missed trips, which is also the same definition, that's trips that are not operating, departing from the terminal point. For the light rail, this seems to be a little bit more flat and a little bit more manageable for us. There are still some impacts that affects our light rail service. Okay, and again, the key point that I want to mention here, the weather in January also affected, as you can see, the peak in January 2025 on the light rail service as well, and that was primarily due to the weather events. There are other aspects that affect our light rail service. For example, emergency vehicles blocking the right of way for the streetcar. That is a major problem for us. That happens quite frequently. And affects our service on the light rail, but not as much as it affects the other modes of operations. Another item that affects our light rail is the personal operating vehicle accidents blocking our right of way and waiting for tow trucks or police services to arrive to deal with those situations. Maintenance situations with the light rail vehicles, such as brake faults, and just to name one. And the last is special events that will affect our light rail service. Some of the special events that would affect us are, like, for example, parades where they go across the alignment of the light rail and we have to stop service. Some of the concerts and other items that would take place is like other major activities such as Dragon Con, where they have a lot of foot traffic, causing the light rail service to be postponed for a moment or for a period of time during the service. That is just a high-level overview of what are missed trips. Expect to see more detail in the future presentations that we will be providing for you. Missed trips is just one portion of our on-time performance, which is a larger KPI that we review and we maintain. As Mr. Goodwin stated earlier, just because we're seeing these trends, we're not waiting to take action until we actually report this information out. We meet on a daily basis with all the departments and all the areas that affect our operations. For example, on the heavy rail side, we have a meeting every morning, Monday through Friday, where we have participation there from the railcar maintenance area, from their maintenance away, which includes track, ATC, our automatic train control, EP&E, electrical power and equipment, and other departments that affect our on-time performance. And each morning we discuss what was contributing to our OTP and our missed trips and our offloads, which is another item that we measure the previous day. And then we discuss those things with every department to make sure that we stay on top of what's causing those problems, so that we can come up with solutions to try to improve our service and provide the best service we can for our customers. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments? If not, let me just remind you that in your packet that you received, you have the fiscal year 25 August key performance indicators for information only. Anything else that needs to come before operations and safety today? Ms. Jones?
I did have a quick question. Thank you for the presentations. For the missed trips, the targets that you had, you said they're based on industry standards. How is that? Is that something that MARTA calculates itself by comparing with peers, or is there an actual industry standard that's set?
That is a good question on that. There is a number of agencies and associations that MARTA is member of, APTA being one of them, and we confer with our peers on those agencies to determine what it is they're tracking and what it is they're seeing and what an acceptable level is. So we do take input from there. We take into account some internal factors, and we come up with that benchmark to make sure that we're not too far off industry standard.
And I would also add that that is actually a two-way street. We also participate in communication with other agencies as they also research for their things that they're looking at and things that they want to look at, and they look at us as to what we're doing as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? We are adjourned.